We are just getting started on the meeting. Thanks for joining us. My name is Caitlin. I'm with Metro HRA. This is the project-based voucher info session for our RFP. We're gonna just give it a few minutes for people to join from the lobby. So thanks everyone for joining us today. This meeting is being recorded. So just so you know, if you unmute yourself to ask a question, we will ask for folks to hold their questions until the end. We'll have plenty of time for question and answer. We hope to answer some of the common questions throughout the presentation. And then we'll have time at the end. And feel free throughout the presentation, you can feel free to put things in the chat. I will also be, once I pass off to our main presenters, I will be monitoring the chat. So you can definitely feel free to put questions in the chat at any time. And then we will get back to them at the end of the session or midway through when we get started. So I will turn it over to our director here at Metro HRA, Terry Smith, to give a little introduction. And we will continue to be admitting folks from the waiting room. So thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Caitlin, about that. And welcome everybody. My name is Terry Smith. I'm the director here at the Metro HRA, and it's nice to see so many familiar faces and excited that you could all with us to hear about our upcoming request for proposals. We're really excited about this new Bring It Home statewide rent assistance program that is brand new for us. And we're excited to be able to offer some of these vouchers in the form of project-based assistance. So many of you joined us in December for an information session related to the Bring It Home program. So this is sort of building on that and getting us ready to issue an RFP for project-based vouchers. But I'm going to pass it over to Chong, who's really the MVP of today's presentation. Chong has been the leader of our project-based voucher assistance program, works with many of you if you're an existing owner of project-based vouchers, and really keeps all the pieces together. So thank you to Chong and Caitlin for prepping for this session today, and we hope you find it valuable. So Chong, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Caitlin. Thank you all for joining us today. We will be providing an overview of the Bring It Home project-based voucher program, the Bring It Home rental assistance program, and overall the RFP process here at the Metro HRA. And the Metro HRA is announcing the availability of up to 100 Bring It Home project-based vouchers for existing housing projects in the Metro HRA service area. And today's information session will provide more details. We're going to go over the Bring It Home statewide rent assistance program, the Bring It Home project-based voucher program requirements, the minimum RFP considerations, offer and award timeline, and as well as an open Q&A session at the end. Metro HRA administers assistance in over 96 communities in Anoka, Carver, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties, excluding the cities of St. Paul, Minneapolis, Plymouth, Richfield, St. Louis Park, and Bloomington. We operate 10 housing programs and provide assistance to about 7,284 housing choice vouchers. In 2025, we issued $100 million in annual rent payments to 1,700 active landlords. Currently, we support 58 project-based voucher contracts totaling 992 units with a pending new construction development for an additional 10 units, and this will then total 1,002 PBVs. The Metro HRA offers and awards PBV through a competitive RFP process. It's not always guaranteed every year that we will offer an award. The last time that we did offer was in 2023, which in 2023, we offered 40 PBVs. Currently, all of our vouchers are utilized, and due to federal budget cuts and uncertainty, there will be no federal PBVs in the near future. Now, the difference between the Housing Choice Voucher Program and the Project-Based Voucher Program. For the Housing Choice Voucher Program, the voucher is tied to the tenant, and then the tenant locates a rental unit of choice. And then upon vacating, the assistance remains with the tenant. So they'll take the voucher and select a unit of their choice. For the project-based voucher program, the voucher is tied to the unit. Eligible referral is made to the designated PBV unit, and then upon vacate, the assistance remains with the PBV unit. For the more information on the Bring It Home project-based, or I'm sorry, Bring It Home rental assistance program, it will be the most sizable increase in our program history. Bring It Home is a statewide rent assistance program established in 2023, in 2023's legislative session. The program is funded by the state appropriations, as well as a portion of the metro area sales tax. This funding will support grants to local housing authorities, tribal entities, or nonprofits who will deliver vouchers or project-based rental subsidies to eligible households in their service area. Minnesota Housing issues 2-year grant contracts to program administrators, and the funding is expected to help ensure stable housing for approximately 5,000 families across the state. And the funding and voucher award amounts to local administrators are determined with a need-based formula and local level data collected from the American Community Survey. Of the 5,000 vouchers funded throughout the state, Metro HRA received about 900, Minneapolis PHA received about 750, and St. Paul PHA with about 500. When initially applying for the funds, program administrators could choose one or more of the following ways to operate their Bring It Home in their service area. Under option 1, the administrator uses their existing procedures or federal rental assistance programs like the Housing Choice Voucher Program or Section 8 to run its Bring It Home program. Under option 2, allows for administrators to use a few modified procedures from the Housing Choice Voucher Program to better reach households in need and to also encourage property owner participation. And then option 3, administrators can propose substantially different operation procedures. Metro HRA will be operating with option 1 and 2, using existing and amended procedures, operating like our Housing Choice Voucher Program with some approved amended procedure changes approved by the Minnesota Housing. And regardless of which 3 program operation options were selected, eligibility requirements remain the same. Priority shall be given to households with children 18 and under with annual income up to 30%, are a Minnesota resident, households with annual income up to 50% AMI paying more than 30% of income on rent, household is not receiving any form of federal tenant-based or federal project-based assistance, and also the Bring It Home restricts portability. In regards to the Metro HRA Bring It Home project-based voucher and how the Metro HRA will be operating the program, the Metro HRA will operate Bring It Home using up to 25% of our authorized program size. So with that, we will project base up to 225 units of our Bring It Home vouchers. Metro HRA's Bring It Home PBVs will operate like the federal PBV program with exceptions as approved by Minnesota Housing. So we removed all project cap restrictions, meaning the full project can be 100% PBV. No subsidy laying review, environmental review, Davis-Bacon monitoring requirements unless required by state or local law. And the right to move with Bring It Home tenant-based assistance is after 3 years of assistance. So the tenant must have received assistance in the unit, in the PBV unit for 3 years to be eligible to receive a tenant-based voucher to move, tenant-based Bring It Home voucher to move to a unit of their choice. With projects, projects must include a minimum of 10 Bring It Home PBV units. Households will pay 30% of their income towards rent and utilities. Metro HRA will make regular monthly payments to the owners. And then for unit referrals, for general occupancy, non-supportive housing, units will be marketed to applicants on our Metro HRA waiting list. And then units designated for homeless, disabled, or other specialized populations will be filled through applicant referrals from coordinated entry, providers, or applicable county via the owner and the management. The Bring It Home contract will be an initial 2-year contract with options to renew every 2 years. With the PVV program information, we're going to be moving along with the 2026 request for proposals, Bring It Home project-based voucher requests. Metro HRA is announcing the availability of up to 100 Bring It Home project-based vouchers. Applications will be available starting May 4th. It will be posted on our website at metrohrapbv.org, and applications are due by 4 p.m. Central Time on June 3rd. Priority population, proposals for households with children 18 years of age and under, and annual incomes of up to 30% of the area median income will be prioritized. Projects serving other populations, such as single adults, will receive second priority. What this means is that we will award our priority populations first before we move on to the next eligible proposals. These are the required proposal selection criteria. For location, it must be in the Metro HRA service area. Metro HRA administers in assistance in Anoka, Carver, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties, excluding the cities of St. Paul, Minneapolis, Plymouth, Richfield, St. Louis Park, and Bloomington. Proposals outside Metro HRA area will not be considered. The minimum request that will be considered is for 10 Bring It Home PVVs. Requests for fewer than 10 will not be considered. And also housing type, only existing housing will be considered. New construction will not be considered under this RFP, but will be available the next round. We will first prioritize existing housing to deploy voucher resources as quickly as possible. And then we're going to anticipate issuing another few rounds of RFP to include also new construction. This slide shows Metro HRA scoring criteria for our PVVs with the highest priority on projects that integrate housing and tenant services for specialized populations, housing tied with services, and then with the next highest to which projects provide or preserves housing types that contribute to a full range of affordable housing choices. For the award timeline, again, applications will be open on May 4th. With applications due on June 3rd. Application will be reviewed, scored, and provided with a letter of intent by July 1st. And then by August 31st will be formal award by the Metropolitan Council action. Along with the RFP info session today, we are also offering one-on-one meetings to discuss your application and questions you may have. And you should be able to click on this link and it will direct you to the booking site, as well as it will be placed in our chat today and also on our website at metrohrapbv.org. And that wraps it up, and we'll be open to any of your questions. I welcome Terry in as well, and any other representative questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Chong. And I will throw a few links in the chat, some of the links that Chong just mentioned or that were on her slides. But I also want to lift up one question that was in the chat. Well, one is, will the PowerPoint be on the website? Yes, our materials will be posted to our website. But a more detailed question from Jeff, does the minimum request of 10 units have to be in one property, or can you apply for 10 and split between 2 or more properties for purposes of the application?
Typically, our projects are with the exact development and not split among many multiple projects. We can definitely look at your project to see what in close proximity or what areas your project would be, but your application would need to answer directly to those locations in your application.
All right, and then I see a few folks are using the chat and a few folks are raising their hand. So I'm just first going to mention Katina's question, which coordinated entry systems would be used to assist with homeless and specialized populations? And part of that is dependent on where the property is located. So Metro HRA serves 4 different counties. And so depending on how that county's coordinated entry system operates, next, I will call on Allison. She had her hand up first, and after Allison, I can only see initials. Fred. Okay, Allison, then Fred. Thanks.
Okay, couple, but you answered one on the 10 units. And sorry if you went over this and I just missed it. So with existing construction, because I know you mentioned if it's not specialized populations using your waiting list, but with like initial, when they're initially awarded, are we able to do in-place lease-ups?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then when you talk about excluding federal rental assistance, so as some of you are probably familiar, like we have a PSH grant that I don't even know, we're anticipating renewing for 1 more year, but you know, HUD's fighting that in court, is trying to keep our PSH folks that we may be losing assistance on eligible. Or are they excluded in that federal rental assistance piece? If they live in our properties.
I can maybe take that one, Chong. So one of our priorities that we put in our application to Minnesota Housing was that we will provide assistance to participants that are losing rent assistance under other programs. And I would say
Okay.
that folks that may be losing PSH would fall into that. That would also include like emergency housing vouchers
Okay.
or people that are losing housing choice vouchers.
Okay.
And so I would say we would include that in that group. Do you agree, Chong?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, next Fred, and then after Fred, Michelle. Fred, you may still be on mute.
Sorry, I was having problems getting unmuted. I just put it in the chat, but our project is under construction right now, but will be done by June 30th of this year. Is that an issue?
At the time of our award, it would be July 1st. And so you can put it in there to explain, you know, your certificate of occupancy if you have that. But the award is for existing housing.
So the project
So
would have
what
to
I'm
be
hearing
done
is
by
that-
July 1st, right, Chong?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, how is everybody doing?
Great.
How are
Michelle.
you?
Hi. I am wondering, I'm just clarifying, it sounds like we could ask to place vouchers on qualifying current residents who maybe have children or income qualify because of changes in their life and request that the vouchers go on vacant units. Is that accurate to help bring in new people and help people who already live at the property?
So the question is if you can add additional PBV, bring it home to your property for vacant units.
Yeah, I have two situations. One is that we have a few households who's like a family of four. One of them went to hospice. So their income changed by losing that member's income. Could they be awarded? Could that unit get awarded and we already have an applicant?
Yes, for existing, yes. So
Perfect.
you can apply for 10 bring it home project-based vouchers for your development. And depending on the situation, each applicant would then be looked at to see how they were referred and if they meet the criteria for
Okay,
the addition to
perfect.
that unit. Yeah.
And then I have a few units that are becoming vacant that could, if we were approved or selected, I guess, we would maybe like hold those units out of, crossing our fingers, which is, it'd be a great fit for our property, which isn't too much of a burden. But just wanted to, yeah, make sure I understood that like if we held these vacants and got awarded, then we would utilize your guys' wait list to fill those units, correct? Since they're
That is
vacant?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I do have another question. Would we be permitted in the future to move the vouchers around to other units? Or would it'd have to be like a unique situation and we try and keep it on the same unit upon contract sign up?
Yeah, so there is the availability to swap units of like
Okay.
size, but
Okay.
we aren't able to move from like one bedroom to like a 3 bedroom, for example. So we're gonna
Okay.
closely follow along like we do the federal housing choice voucher program for the
Yeah.
bring and upper PBVs similarly. And so we can swap 1 to 1, but we won't be able to swap like 1 to 3.
Okay, makes sense. And then final question is that if I'm understanding correctly, one of the slides was talking about like policies and procedures that we would like establish, because everybody needs that anyways. But could we put in our request consideration that, as explained, if a household has a income change and may qualify, would we be allowed to refer them? Or try and fill the unit with a you see where I'm going with this possibly, like if there was could we refer one of our current residents going through an income change that qualifies them? Could we put
Correct,
that in
yes.
our policies and procedures and have that considered by you guys maybe?
Yeah, I think the first step is to consider the 10 PBV bring it home vouchers, and then each unit after that for referral. Then we can talk through like, hey, which tenant would work based on their circumstances.
Okay,
And then I encourage you to also book like a one-on-one meeting so we can talk project specifics. But in general, every unit referral will have to meet the requirements.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So maybe a little more on that, Chong. So the in-place preference only applies when the units come online for the first time, right? And so if you have 10 units and you have, some in-place residents that qualify when you bring your project online, they can qualify as with an in-place preference. But then, say a unit turns over or, something down the line, you would have to go through our regular procedure. So if they're not they don't have supportive service connections to them, you would have to utilize our waiting list first before you can refer residents to the program. But if they're supportive service units that, serve specialized populations, then you can go through coordinated entry and direct referral. But I think it's good to have a connection with Chong directly to ask about your project specific questions, because it can depend on a lot on the circumstances.
Yeah, thank you for elaborating on that. Yeah, we run into that at our property, and there's probably more questions I can ask to add more color. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I did put the booking link in the chat if you are interested in having a one-on-one Teams meeting with Chong. There are times available. I also just put a couple kind of general links in the chat. And then I just want to follow up on a question about the area that Metro HRA serves. So We serve all of suburban Ramsey County, but not the city of St. Paul. And so in terms of using Ramsey County coordinated entry, for the project-based vouchers, we're concerned with where the project is. And so it would need to be in Metro HRA's service area, which does not include the city of St. Paul. But the city of St. Paul, their public housing authority, will also receive funds through the Bring It Home program. So housing authorities are talking a lot to each other, working closely. And there's 10 of them operating here in the Twin Cities. So it's a lot to keep up with. But for us, we would be looking at, yes, any suburban Ramsey County city is part of Metro HRA's service area.
So just a little bit more on that too. So if you have a project that's in Ramsey County, but not in St. Paul, it's correct that you would use Ramsey County coordinated entry. So wherever the project is located, I think Caitlin said this, but if the project's in Ramsey County, you would use Ramsey County coordinated entry. If it's in Anoka County, you would use SMAC coordinated entry.
Somebody's asked if we see this going into St. Paul in the future. Don't want to speak for them as an organization, but yes, I believe St. Paul was listed on the slide that Chong showed earlier of that Metro HRA, Minneapolis and St. Paul are all the largest housing authorities in the state and all have received Bring It Home funds. I don't know if Chong, if you know any more about that or would encourage folks to check out St. Paul PHA's website.
My understanding is that St. Paul is not going to be awarding or any PBVs. But I encourage you to check with St. Paul PHA. Housinglink.org will have the contact for all housing agencies in the metro area.
And as Chong mentioned, this is a new program. So some housing authorities are jumping in right away. Other housing authorities, exploring more of the tenant-based program first. Another question in the chat asks, are the rents set at the small area fair market rent or up to the small area fair market rent with a rent reasonableness process?
The rents are set at SAFMR, the small area fair market rents. We can approve up to 100, the gross rent approved up to 110%, as long as the rent is rent reasonable. So it's a little different from the regular payment standards that we set for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, but not off by much.
Well, folks can feel free to put other questions in the chat or raise your hand, or if you don't know how to raise your hand, you can just unmute yourself. Seems like a casual, friendly group. And if you're interested in meeting one-on-one with Chong, of course, that link, I'll pop it in the chat again, just so that it's fresh at the top.
I think. I think we'll do a last call for questions.
All right. Well, if folks think of things after today, of course, you can reach out to Chong to book a meeting, or there's an email address that we have. Chong, do you want to put the PBV email address in the chat if you would want to use that one for correspondence? If people have email questions. These materials will be posted on our website as soon as possible. So if you would want to check the recording again or look through the slides, we will get those on our website. And thanks so much for your time today. We're looking forward to getting these resources out in the community and appreciate everyone taking a little bit of time with us today.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.